Caitlin Clark's the new it. If you don't have a long ball, talking about the 26, 30 feet, if you ain't doing the Steph Curry, if you ain't got none of that long ball in your game, yeah, you're gonna be behind.
She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn.
Anyone following basketball knows that Caitlin Clark is a supernova, changing the way we view the women's game. NBA legends and icons who know the sport inside and out have been left in awe of her brilliance. The excitement surrounding the WNBA has reached new heights thanks to Caitlin's play and popularity. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The greatest of them all, Michael Jordan, has finally broken his silence. MJ's comments about Caitlin are a game changer, and his praise for her speaks volumes. Stay tuned, because what Jordan had to say is nothing short of extraordinary. NBA legend Rick Barry also didn't hold back when it came to defending Caitlin Clark. In a powerful statement, Barry made it clear that the constant hate Caitlin has faced from certain WNBA players is nothing but jealousy and fear of her undeniable talent. His words hit hard, putting those critics right in their place. What Barry had to say is something every Caitlin Clark doubter needs to hear, because it proves exactly why she deserves all the respect she's earned.
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
WNBA great George Gervin also stepped up to defend Caitlin Clark, and his words were just as impactful. Gervin didn't shy away from calling out the disrespect, making it clear that Caitlin's talent is something to be celebrated, not torn down. His statement was an attention grabber, sending a message to everyone who doubts Caitlin. Her greatness is here to stay. And even legends recognize it. Get ready to hear Gervin's powerful defense.
They don't know the value that she's bringing for all of them. She bringing, they flying private planes now. They weren't flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for golf.
Yes.
Guys who don't have huge media exposure are often the ones most likely to give us their uncensored opinions, which is why we start with a former player who isn't all over the airwaves in retirement. Jeff Teague was a quality starter for most of his 12 seasons in the league, a one-time All-Star and an NBA champion, but he was never a media darling or a highly marketable figure. Now retired, Teague felt free to criticize the WNBA for its treatment of Caitlin Clark as she entered the league with a massive fan base.
Like, they played this all wrong, bro.
Terribly, bro.
They were supposed to gas this shit. This is why people don't watch this shit when y'all leave college, women's sports, because y'all hating on the best thing that's gonna happen to the W.
While you can argue that his delivery is raw, the main idea he conveys is very reasonable. After years of heated debate about the gender pay gap in sports and repeated unsuccessful attempts to raise the visibility of the WNBA, Caitlin's arrival has finally moved things forward. But she still endured a rough welcome. Teague simply points out that such an attitude is damaging the league financially, while making it clear that he believes Caitlin deserves far better treatment from her peers and managers. Speaking of ill treatment, Celtics legend Paul Pierce deserves some blame for the animosity in the media toward Clark early in the season. The 10-time All-Star publicly doubted Caitlin Clark and even sparked racial controversy with his comments about the Fever's fabulous rookie. Since then, he has tried to distance himself from that noise and has started reluctantly showing some respect toward the Indiana Fever guard. Here's what Pierce had to say after Clark was left off the U.S. Olympic team.
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game, which it is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark.
On the surface, his take sounds respectful, but if you break down the logic behind it, you'll see that Pierce still isn't fully sold on Caitlin Clark's basketball ability. He argued that Clark should have been part of the U.S. roster to help grow the popularity of the sport, but implied that she didn't earn an invitation on merit alone. Then again, Paul Pierce has always been one of the most provocative NBA players turned commentators, so his takes must be taken with some reservation, as he might simply be trying to stay relevant in the media space. Just when it seemed the drama around Caitlin couldn't get any bigger, Shaquille O'Neal dropped a bombshell on Angel Reese's podcast. Shaq held nothing back as he praised Caitlin Clark right in front of her most vocal critic. It was a jaw-dropping moment. An NBA legend defending Caitlin in the least expected place's words made one thing clear. Caitlin is extraordinary, and even her harshest critics couldn't deny it. Get ready to hear it straight from the Big Diesel himself.
And I was a hater because, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower it like this.
Absence from the biggest sports event of the year may have hurt Caitlin on a personal level, but it could have been a blessing in disguise. At least that's what legendary NBA center and three-time Defensive Player of the Year Dwight Howard believed back then. He suggested that Caitlin could use the time off to sharpen her skills and dominate in the second half of the season, which is exactly what happened. Looking back now, Howard's quote sounds almost prescient.
She is a great player, but it's a lot of players that, no lie, who, as far as basketball-wise, they have the edge over her of why they should be playing in the Olympics right now. Mind you, this should motivate her. This should make her go harder in the gym. The 3 weeks that they off, she should get in better shape.
Caitlin Clark looked much different after the Olympic break. And while we don't know exactly how much being left off the team fueled her fury and motivation, she definitely found her groove traveling to Paris, and potentially sitting on the bench for a stacked roster could have thrown Clark off her rhythm, not to mention the risk of a random injury that might linger after her return. Dwight saw an opportunity for Caitlin where everyone else only saw failure and disrespect, and he was smart enough to realize that a player of Clark's caliber was perfectly positioned to capitalize on that chance and prove she's better than most of the players selected ahead of her. Still, with Caitlin Clark, you always have to take the big picture into account. Hall of Fame point guard Isaiah Thomas was always able to see every angle, both on and off the court. After his stellar playing career, which included back-to-back NBA championships with the Detroit Pistons, Thomas went on to serve as a head coach and NBA executive for many years. When asked about Clark, Thomas had a predominantly positive view, with one little twist at the end.
I think it's great what she's done, and I think it's great what the media and the WNBA and marketing and the players are doing because, controversy is not good, but, controversy sells.
That's a very smooth job from Thomas, who managed to compliment everyone and still expose the dirty business behind all the Caitlin hate in just one sentence. It's no secret that people tune in for drama, and by attacking Caitlin Clark from all directions when she first entered the league, the media had plenty to gain. Let's just say Isaiah is onto something here, even if he doesn't want to feed into the very controversy he's describing. Caitlin Clark has quickly earned grassroots support from Indianapolis fans, but she still can't quite compare to some of the basketball heroes of the past when it comes to local love. At the very top of that list is elite three-point marksman and cutthroat competitor Reggie Miller, who spent all 18 of his seasons wearing the number 31 Pacers jersey. While you might expect Miller to show respect to Clark as the new savior of his town, he went the opposite direction, basically saying that every rookie must learn how to deal with adversity and competition.
What did you expect was going to happen to her? Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA. You're coming from college and you're going to the pro ranks, right? What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked, right? You're playing against grown women. The same thing happened to us.
Reggie Miller played in the old school NBA where physicality was the norm, and his perspective on hard fouls might not fully apply to today's game. But let's be clear, Caitlin Clark is facing challenges beyond simple competitiveness. She's enduring unnecessary hostility. It was never realistic to expect WNBA players to simply welcome Caitlin without a fight, but the level of resistance she's encountered goes far beyond just earning her place. It feels more like an attempt to push her down. Caitlin's journey isn't only about earning respect, it's about demanding fair treatment. Even if it means standing tall against the odds. Magic Johnson is actively involved in women's basketball as a part owner of the Los Angeles Sparks, so we know the superstar point guard and leader of 5 NBA championship teams is paying close attention to what's happening in the WNBA. Johnson offered a very insightful analysis of Caitlin's role in the league, while also pointing out other high-profile rookies.
Now, Caitlin, her teammates got to come to her defense.
Sure.
You can't allow her to have to fight every battle, right? But we have to understand that both Caitlin, Angel, and Brink, who plays for my Sparks, they made the WNBA better. And they're going to be tested by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best.
Interestingly, Magic drew a parallel between the current crop of young WNBA talent and his own rivalry with Larry Bird that revitalized the NBA in the late 70s and early 80s. He preached patience, pointing out that the young stars will need support from their teammates in order to overcome challenges and earn top spots in the sport. In his typical style, Magic gave praise to everyone without getting caught up in the uglier parts of the debate. Still, his assessment of Clark is very high and can be seen as a sign that even former NBA legends with vested interests in competing teams must respect her greatness. Anyone who remembers Magic from his playing days knows he was always classy and elegant in his public statements. That can't be said for one of his contemporaries. Charles Barkley was a physical player whose interactions with the media often felt just as intense as his battles for position in the paint. Now working in the media and enjoying even greater popularity than he had as a player, the 11-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist has commented on Caitlin Clark and her WNBA experience several times. He has been mostly supportive, like in this clip where he discusses how her form changed during the season.
And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
First of all, they
didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been worded for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the no-strip. She came straight out of college.
Teague might have played just as big a role in slowing Caitlin Clark early as anything opposing defenses did. And Chuck correctly noticed that she's had more pep in her step lately. That extra energy has led to increased opportunities in transition and higher scoring output for both Clark and her teammates. However, Barkley also addressed how fellow WNBA players treat Clark, and he didn't spare his targets from pointed, biting criticism.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes.
Humorous tone aside, Barkley has nailed the central issue in the Caitlin Clark saga. Competition is one thing, but petty maliciousness is something else. And there have been instances where opponents sent Clark to the floor with no legitimate basketball reason. The argument that other players should be appreciative of Clark rather than combative makes sense. But Barkley has another group in mind as the real culprits behind the whole situation: the opinion makers in the media.
We cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse. If they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. This girl is incredible. The number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here?
You can't blame Barkley for being irritated by what he sees as injustice. The WNBA views Caitlin Clark as a cash cow, but it hasn't done enough to protect her on the floor or promote her as the future flag bearer of the league. Part of that comes from corporate caution, with decision makers preferring to let the season play out before building a strategy around Caitlin's rapid rise to superstardom. The other part may indeed stem from personal dislike of Clark among certain key media members, and that's simply unacceptable in a professional environment. Michael Jordan has finally broken his silence on Caitlin Clark, and he didn't mince words. The WNBA owes Caitlin a lot for what she's done for the game, MJ said. He also called for changes in officiating, stressing that referees have been unfair to Caitlin, and it's time for the league to make things right. His words send a powerful message. The WNBA must value Caitlin's impact and ensure she receives the respect she deserves from players and officials alike. Steph Curry himself had to chime in on Caitlin Clark. After all, Luka isn't the only one comparing Caitlin to Curry. She's carried the female Steph Curry label since college, and it's easy to see why her long-range three-point shooting is a dead giveaway. Comparisons between their shooting forms have already been made, as both possess that blinding quick release that stuns defenders. But their games go far beyond that single weapon. Steph has noted that to truly be like him, you don't just need the shooting ability you need to perform, turn the game into a show, and find ways to elevate your teammates while impacting the game even without the ball in your hands. That's what separates Curry's greatness from all the other guards practicing their three-point shot. No wonder people keep asking Steph about Caitlin Clark, and it's even better that he's been so outspoken in his praise.
Somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package, and her being the French breaking that record and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
Steph represented the NBA during a landmark three-point shootout with the WNBA. It was a thrilling matchup that stayed close until the very end, with Steph edging out the win. Now that NBA versus WNBA three-point contests have been established, maybe Caitlin Clark could get her chance to go toe-to-toe with her idol as well. She has declined to join the three-point contest so far, but has said she's open to it in the future, and we're all crossing our fingers that she does if Caitlin Clark wants to find some solace in the words of NBA legends. It's best to listen to those who have the resumes to back their opinions. Former MVP and NBA champion Kevin Garnett has built his reputation as one of the hardest workers in the sport. His famous toughness and bravado carried him through countless challenges during a 21-year NBA career. Nicknamed the Big Ticket, Garnett jumped straight into the NBA out of high school and quickly became feared on both ends of the court, giving him a unique perspective on how basketball stars are truly made.
Caitlin Clark go through shit. I'm watching all, man, rookies, you're gonna go through some shit. And guess what? When you're in, when you got the bullseye on your back, when you in, it's gonna come with some shit. And nobody's hitting y'all with the step back in the high. Yeah, it's a compliment. Yeah, you feel.
Not only does Garnett believe it's normal for a rookie to deal with rough play and taunting, but he also sees it as a stepping stone toward greatness. The best players have to prove their worth. And through that process, the special ones develop a true winning mentality, according to him. Caitlin should take the extra attention from defenses as a sign of respect and just go with the flow. It's an interesting perspective. Even if not all retired NBA players would share it, the legend of Caitlin Clark continues to grow. And this is especially clear in the way the biggest names in the sport are talking about her since she started playing at a high level and helped her team reach the playoff picture. She has increasingly been recognized as the real deal, to borrow a phrase from Shaq. There's an old saying, game recognizes game. That's why the support of certified masters of the craft means so much more than the opinions of journalists who never played basketball. Every famous NBA star was once a rookie, so they understand how much Clark can develop from this point and what it could mean for women's basketball if she reaches her full potential. You can be sure that some of the greatest players in NBA history are actively following Caitlin Clark's journey, rooting for her to rewrite the record books and revolutionize the business side of the sport.